afternoon of October 25th, and we're set up here in the foundation field, where right on the west side of it, out on this little point in between the two cuts, this is where I previously missed R2 earlier this year. Tonight our primary target is Thrasher. He's been lighting up the cameras quite a bit lately. Yesterday morning he was about, about 250 yards to the east of here in daylight. So we got high hopes. We think that the deer are going to be coming out to this green field here. A lot of mature bucks out here. I think our odds of seeing a big buck tonight are pretty good. Troy says historically October 25th is a good day, so we're going to sit tight and see what we see come out tonight. Well, it's about 5:45, and that was a buck that we know really well. That's Towers. He's been really visible this year, and this wind in here is so swirly. It's supposed to be a northeast wind, which would be blowing directly behind us, almost away from him. And it must just swirl in this, field in the middle of the woods. And he nailed us pretty good there and took off. There was something else. I think it was either a small buck or a doe to the north here that took off with him. It didn't really have any idea. But we're down to about the last 25 minutes or so. The snow's pretty much stopped. It's somewhat freezing rain now, but we're gonna sit tight and see if anything else comes out tonight. It's been pretty slow the whole night, so hopefully something good steps out yet. Obviously, he's not the dominant deer I'd go with.
That was a deer that we call Grumps, and that's kind of been my main target this year. That's the first time that I've personally seen him on the hoof, but I just happened to look over to my left here, and he came flying out of the timber here into the beans. I don't know if he was fired up by that other buck or what, but Elliott gave him a couple grunts, and he didn't really respond. And that snort wheeze, I think, kind of spooked him a little bit, or he didn't want nothing to do with it because he took off after that. But that's a pretty exciting way to end the night. That got me shaking a little bit.
Well, it's the afternoon of October 26th, and I'm set up in a stand that we call the two-man stand. I snuck out here after work got out of work a little early, and got out here a little late. It's about 3:50, and there was one little buck over here to my left when I walked in. He wasn't too spooked, but so I don't think it's going to bother much. But we're sitting in the two-man stand. We got some pure trophy clover out here in front of us. The bad thing about this spot is this is an old stand, and it's really wide open, so it's pretty easy for the deer to pick you off in here. I'm gonna have to be really careful. I'm self-filming tonight, so, but there's scrapes all up and down the edge of this plot here. I got a cell cam on the other side, on one of the scrapes, and I've been getting just a ton of pictures in here. 2 days ago while we were hunting, I got a daylight picture of thrasher right in front of this stand on that scrape. So we got a big cold front. It's supposed to be a great afternoon, and I'm thinking the deer are going to be really moving, checking scrapes and checking these plots for does. So there's a lot of mature bucks in the area, and but thrasher is our main target. I don't know if I would shoot any other deer other than R2, but we got a west wind, northwest wind that is blowing either pretty much behind us. Right now it feels really good right in my face. So I think we got a really good chance at seeing a good buck tonight. There's actually a deer out in the other plot right now. So we're gonna sit back and get quiet and see what comes out. Well, guys, we just got back to the truck, and man, what a night. It was super fun to see that deer droopy, and after we had that encounter with him and all those other deer, we didn't really see anything else. They kind of moved off to the northwest. So really fun night. I had one shot opportunity at him when the camera couldn't quite see him behind that tree over by the scrape. He was at about 35 yards, but we're gonna keep after it, keep after Thrasher and R2, and hopefully, like I said, either my dad or Austin or Elliott can catch up to that deer, because he's a fully matured, great deer, and we got a week of work here, and then we're gonna be off for a week hunting these deer. So a great night in the woods tonight. I'll keep checking in. Things are gonna heat up here throughout the Midwest, and the first week in November is going to be really good. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching Midwest Whitetail Great Lakes.
Welcome to Midwest Whitetail Great Lakes. I'm hunting in a blind we call the Pines Blind tonight. It's the afternoon of October 22nd. The reason I'm hunting here is I'm hunting for a specific buck that we call Baldy. And he has been out in front of this blind multiple times in shooting light over the last couple of weeks. He basically has been tormenting me every time I don't come to this blind and stand. He's out in front of it. Tuesday night I was in here. We got about 8 inches of snow on Tuesday. I wasn't sure there'd be that many deer out because it was storming pretty good when I was here, but there was deer all over the place. Probably saw 8 or 9 bucks. Several of the mature bucks that we've been looking at and just decided that they're too young, or there was a better buck that we were after. It was fun to watch. There were just bucks crawling all over the place that night. Wednesday night, which would be last night, there was we had 2 good bucks out in the field along with 6 or 7 other bucks. It's a lot of fun to hunt when you're seeing a lot of different bucks. Hopefully we'll get to see a bunch of bucks again tonight, and it's supposed to rain and then turn over to snow, so it's kind of half and half, doing both right now, and it's kind of an ugly night. That was the buck I was in here for. He's a buck called Baldy. And he's been kind of giving me the slip every time that I come. So I've been kind of hitting this Pines pond blind pretty hard. Hoping that he'd show up like he had been in the daylight. It was a little bit later tonight. I think I hit him pretty good. I thought maybe he was going to go down out in the beans out there, but then he made it back into the pines. And I saw him kind of going back and forth in there, so I think he's about 150 yards in there. We've got Big and Beastie out front of the blind, and then standing soybeans, about 7 or 8 acres of standing soybeans that wrap around the pines. What's really been crazy is since it snowed, the amount of mature bucks coming to eat the Big and Beastie has just been crazy. It's kind of fun to watch them. Well, we've had several mature bucks that were not the one we were after. So this particular buck we call Baldy because his G3 on his right side, bends over like that, like Brian Baldinger's finger, and his nickname is Baldy, so that's why we nicknamed this deer Baldy. So anyway, I'm going to give him about 20 minutes, and then we're going to go take a look and see if we can find him. Oh, here's the arrow. Wow, it kind of went right into the It went right under the snow almost. And I could see some blood with my binoculars from the blind. So I'm gonna kind of go over where I last saw the blood, right here. Right here's some blood. The rain and the snow have kind of made it wick away quite a bit. That is so hard. The snow is so wet. It rained for most of the day. There's blood. There's a bunch of blood right there. He must have been where he was turning and heading for the pines. I saw some right there on those soybeans. Right there on those soybeans there's some too. So this is where he pulled up and stopped. Oh yeah, here's a bunch of blood. I'm spraying it out pretty good here. Oh yeah, here's blood here. He kind of started heading back. Okay, here we go. The snow has just, and the rain has just wicked the blood away so much. Because there's a lot of blood. It's just kind of hard to see with the snow conditions the way they are. Where do you think he go? He comes back this way now. There he is. Ha. Yeah, that would be Baldy right there. And this is his bent over tine that got him his name. That is a nice buck. I had mentioned earlier that the bucks seemed like since it snowed have really been hitting the big and beastie, just mowing it down. And I know with the cold weather it can bring the sugars out and make the leaves real sugary and real sweet, and that's why they do it. But it was interesting to see how they were really hitting it hard. He's got a little broke off tine right there too. Saw another buck tonight that we're hoping makes it through the season. He's a buck called Yuma. He's a 3-year-old, almost 10 point. He was actually in the background when I shot him. When I shot Baldy here, he was in the background fighting with a different deer. So hopefully with this bigger buck taken out of the mix, he'll be able to hide here on our property and make it on through our rifle season. Every time we're able to take a whitetail, or like this year Casey got a real nice elk out west, I really thank God for the great country that we live in, that we can go out on our own property or on public property and hunt for whitetails or elk or antelope or mule deer. What a great country we live in. We're so blessed to be born here and to be able to take part in all this stuff. Well, with that, I think it's time to get a tag on him and get him gutted out and get him back up and get him hung up. Thanks for watching Midwest Whitetail, Great Lakes.